All right, David, how you doing?
Hey, good mate. Yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for hanging out with us today and talking a little bit about Deep Planet. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. No worries. Thanks for the invite. I'm excited to have a chat.
Yeah. So I was hoping you could just get started a little bit and tell us a little bit about the founding of Deep Planet, how it came about, the founding members, and just how it got started.
Yeah, sure. No worries. We actually got started back in 2016. We realized we were all kind of working on the same thing, which was really to use the latest technologies that are in other industries to impact how water is managed and applied, and in the world where it's scarce or there's too much of it. So we actually met at university over in Oxford. We were running a challenge of this. We were sitting in a pub, and we realised that we're all working on the same thing. So as we exited, we got a grant from the European Space Agency. Basically, take that satellite imagery and apply it to vineyards and agriculture to really understand what's going on the ground. And so since then we've had I guess 3-4 years of research, and then released commercialized the company over the last 18 months to 2 years.
Oh wow. Yeah, well, I guess meeting in an Oxford pub, that's a good start to get into the beverage industry.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right.
that's that's a storied beginning right there. So tell us about yourself and as a founding member and the other founding members.
Yeah, sure. So we've all come from different backgrounds. There's three of us. There's Natalia. She came from uh, security and defense. So basically looking at images. So saying, is someone cheating on gambling, or is someone sweating too much and gives away kind of a tell, understanding what's going on. Two, is something a drone or a plane. And then wanted to apply that for the benefit of the planet, like the rest of us. Sushma came from, she actually ran the lab here in North America that rolled out 4G. So she rolled out technologies to like hundreds of millions of people, both in North America and Europe. And myself, I'm from the Hunter Valley in Australia, so pretty old wine region there, and we I spent this kind of first 10 years of my career taking predictive analytics or that sort of technology, but for the oil and gas industry. So, yeah, is there a gas leak in a town or a utility? Is there a transformer or a substation going to blow up, or kind of safety issues and what have you? So, kind of doing that same predictive technology and applying it to different industries. So, but then over we all got together and wanted to take that and apply for the benefit of the planet versus that some of those other industries.
Cool. And are you currently in other industries other than the wine industry?
Um, no, only 95% of our customers are in viticulture, and we do have some people who have asked us to be in other industries. So some applied this technology. So some of our soil organic carbon monitoring, some people are using that for just general crops, as well as that we able to detect the location of any vine, which also translates to detecting the location of any tree. So people are kind of monitoring some trees, but
Sure.
yeah, mainly that. And then interestingly enough, the same technology can be applied to aquaculture as well. So some people are using some of the water monitoring stuff they're using, but where 95% of our guys are in viticulture.
Gotcha. And then what regions in the world are you mainly working in right now? I mean, your European origins. I would think that Europe is where you started. Where are you working right now?
So our first customers were in Australia, as you might have told from my accent.
Yeah.
Back down in the Hunter Valley where I'm from. We also, for the first 3-4 years of the company, people found us through our research. We weren't actively looking for new customers, so kind of grown from a groundswell perspective. People found us around the research in Hunter Valley, the Barossa, all throughout Australia now. And so probably about half our customers are in Australia. We do have a smattering in the US, where I live. And then we have again, bit of groundswell in France. There are some vineyards in the UK, would you believe?
It's becoming
With
becoming
climate
more
change.
popular, it sounds like. Yeah.
Exactly, especially sparkling. There's some decent stuff there, and then Italy and it's kind of various countries throughout the world. Yeah,
So a long reach. It sounds like you're in most wine regions throughout the world, or at least close to them.
yeah, exactly, that's really been organic till now, and then and we do have people on the ground we've opened a French office, Australian office, and here in the US, as well as obviously our research team mainly out of the UK.
Great. Well, that's a great start. So now I want to really dig into the guts of the planet here. Like, let's talk about what you're offering to the industry, like what your core technology is. I'm dying, checking out the website. It looks like the things that, are really exciting to me is crop estimates, yield predictions, brick estimates, disease scouting. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about the technology that you guys are using to do these predictive analyses, and just tell us, what kind of results you're seeing.
Yeah, sure. So uh, primarily what we're doing is taking satellite imagery and taking visual, but mainly non-visual spectral bands, so things like X-ray and infrared and other things. Um, Taking that data, taking it historically back 6, 7 years, looking at weather data or climate data, historical data, in-field sensors if they have them, and running that through machine learning models to predict what's happening on the ground. So understanding the signal of a specific disease. So is it phylloxera? Is it botrytis? Is it Udipa? Excuse my accent. And downy or powdery mildew, as an example, through to detecting the sugar content of the grapes, to therefore understanding where to harvest, when to harvest, and what the crop estimates or yield estimations are going to be. And so we've been able to get, we've gradually been releasing features as they're commercially viable, and the rest of them have been beta tested and gradually being released over the next 18 months. So primarily we're using you don't have to be in the field. It's basically monitoring what's going on in the field without having to be in there every day.
Right. So, well, and for the record, I did go to university in Australia, and we did call it UTIPA. So
Okay, no,
I'm not sure what the TCN 100.
no problem.
Just well, that's so. Obviously, there's a lot of satellite imaging. Is there any maybe comparable imaging on that is happening on the ground as well?
Yeah, so
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
for sure. So there's early workings. We do have a technology that enables you to basically understand what the nutrition content is of the grapes. You can take a picture of it, and instead of sending it away to a lab, it'll tell you if you take a picture of a plant, it'll tell you the nutrition. There's some work being done on disease with that, but for right now, we have an app that allows you to actually do that. Obviously, the natural extension of that is taking that and doing infield scans, behind a tractor or with GoPro or specialist cameras. But we see that's probably 5 to 10 years away for full adoption. So it's kind of early steps in that. But the biggest benefit from infield stuff is taking a picture of the cameras. If people do have soil moisture sensors, we do bring that in to do some of our soil moisture modeling as well. But the more information we can link up, the better.
Gotcha. And so the app on the phone, what else is it doing? Anything besides disease scouting? Is it helping at all with the bricks estimates or the crop yields?
Not at the moment. So down the track, if people are doing infield sampling, or we can bring that in, but at the moment we don't use the app to actually go out and do any of that recording, etc. So we functions.
Okay, so it's strictly satellite imaging for those yield predictions and bricks predictions.
Yeah, it is historical data as well. Yeah.
And historical. Correct.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then, you talked a little bit about irrigation and using soil moisture meters. So, your technology, how are you working with soil moisture to look? You said I think you had said before, detecting water leaks and soil moisture overall. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we're basically able to uh, model out the subterranean of a vineyard, so we can actually produce a subterranean model of what's happening with soil moisture down to 3, 4, 5 feet, depending how deep the sensors are, combining satellite imagery, weather, and historical data, and give that model, and then tell you what would be the impact of watering of different amounts on the vineyard, and then predict out the next week to 2 weeks of what will happen with soil moisture based on future weather data, uh, rain, future rainfall, wind, um, uh, climate, as well as uh, how much irrigation you're putting onto the crops.
Cool. And I would assume that Deep Plant is integrating with maybe whatever software a vineyard management company or a vineyard's using to already monitor their moisture levels.
Yeah, we bring in any soil moisture sensors and irrigation data that they would have to give you that. Sure.
Cool. So good integration possibilities too with your technology.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because I think about us, and we're built to be an integration partner, and you're talking about your app and photos on the phone, and I think about our app, and it's built to be mobile and built to be handheld to do scouting work in the vineyard, and those two things talking together, I think would be like super impactful.
Yeah, definitely. I think sharing uh, real time, regular bricks updates and regular maturity updates with the winemaker. That's one some of the biggest benefits we've seen for that is bring the grower, the grower relations, and the winemaker together to actually be making decisions based on kind of a fair scoreboard or science versus um, one side thinking that, hey, you're just keeping my crops out there. You're basing this on taste. You're not basing this on whether it's ready to be picked. So
you're, you're talking about the age old debate picking decisions, but we won't fuel that fire right now.
no worries.
Um, the what was I going to ask you? So you know I just see we see labor issues in our industry. They're getting worse and worse. We talk about climate changes that we're seeing. Obviously, if um, with your technology, if we're able to have fewer people in the field doing these things hands on, if we're able to do crop estimates and bricks counts, without as much labor. I mean, you're still gonna, I think most people would still want to do a little bit of tasting or a little bit of sampling here and there, maybe not as much. And but I think the biggest concern would be accuracy, right? So people want to make sure that the crop estimates or the bricks estimates are as accurate as possible. So what's your track record there with the accuracy of both the yield counts and bricks?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we've been testing it now for quite a number of years. So and seasons in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So it's quite exciting. On the brick side, we've been able to basically predict maturity. Predict when the crops will be mature enough to harvest, or at the right bricks level, from within 6 days or less. So from quite early in the season. So that's really useful. Looking forward at weather and looking forward at how it's going to mature. From an individual sampling point of view, we split the vineyard into kind of 10 by 10 meter grids, and we've had people go out there and test how accurate our values are, both showing the distribution of change throughout the vineyard in bricks, but also what the actual values are, and then from the whole vineyard as it is. So we're typically within 0.3, which is really highly accurate. So that's really useful. And then from a crop estimate perspective or yield prediction, however you want to do it, we're 90%, 90 to 95% is what we get. We 90%, about 4 weeks out from harvest, about 80% from veraison, and then 70% at the beginning of the season. Because really, what you're looking at, bud burst or bud break, because you're really looking at a weather forecast at that stage, and there can be frost or wind or hail event you couldn't have predicted. So.
Right. Well, I mean, I think things are more are way less predictable than they were maybe before, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, just you just can't predict what's going to happen year to year anymore.
Exactly. The way we continue being told all the time is there used to be 4 normal years and one strange year where things
Sure.
moved, but and now there's one normal year and four 1 normal year and 4 years where it's really high yield, really low yield, early or late harvest due to climate conditions and change. So
Sure. Absolutely.
it's and all the old models, unfortunately, that you could rely on don't work, which is why I think we're getting a lot of people to start to use the data that they have to really get a better earlier warning or better picture of what's going on across their vineyard or their vineyards.
Yeah. I mean, I would say to get 90 to 95% accuracy on yields and point 0.3 on bricks, I mean, that's incredible no matter what your method is. So if you can achieve those kinds of results with no one or not as many people in the field, I mean, that's a huge, huge win. I mean, that's incredible. So
Yeah,
I've
no,
seen this firsthand.
it's really exciting stuff. We think we can continually get better even more. So, uh, but I, we do this since 2018. We try not to release anything until it's commercially viable. So we say 90% accurate or more. Our uh, hardcore tech people want to really get things to 95, 99% accuracy.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what they want. That's the end aim. Um, but I think until we get as more and more satellites come online, more and more detail comes online, we'll be able to start achieving that. But everything from rogue vines to rogue varieties in vineyards to all sorts of things can affect things. So I think it'll be a couple more years away before we're getting much closer to that 95 to 100% accuracy. Yeah.
Can't wait to
But,
see it.
but I think we can get there. Yeah, for sure. Eventually.
Yeah. I mean, if you can achieve that, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I've never seen anything close to that. So crop estimates, in my history have been one of the hardest things, no matter what your method is. It's such a difficult thing to predict what Mother Nature is going to do with the crop.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, the website I was checking out, and you guys talk a lot about sustainability. Can you talk about your ideas of what sustainability means for you guys and what you're shooting for?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, I think all around the world. So this is one interesting thing to be able to see different countries and different regions, even within countries, that there's a lot of sustainability. There's a lot of good things being done that have already been done, organic and other methods. But from a sustainability perspective, there's a lot of standards coming out that people, they want to they want to comply with, but there's a lot of overhead, what have you. So we see with that in general, there's less water out there as we know in California or Australia. um, so people, just from a business perspective, forget meeting compliance standards from a business perspective. Just being able to manage water better is it's a good decision. It's becoming more and more scarce. Even if you have allocations, they can be turned off by the by that. Less water, less. I think there's people looking to use less nutrient or fertilizer on their crops and be more precise and controlled about that. As well as in general, just managing. A lot of people are moving to organic or getting organic certifications as well, and we're seeing that right across the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, same thing for us. I do think that technology can just help a lot in a lot of different facets in sustainability. Our big thing is trying to get people to go with a digital trail, information trail rather than a paper trail. In wineries with work orders, and there's just a lot of paper involved. And you know, we just truly believe that the more you do online, not only do you have more real time data at your disposal, but you're just you're saving on the budget, the paper budget, and a little bit of sustainability in there too.
Yeah, and I think you can automate a lot of the work that's involved. I know it's probably a lot of, it's a lot of filling out forms. It's a lot of saying you're compliant, and digitizing the vineyard or the winery can really help, reduce a lot of the overload and hopefully automate as much as possible compliance with a lot of these things that might, sometimes it might be forced on growers from their by the people buying the fruit. It could be something they just want to do, but there's a lot of work involved in real costs, um, in different management practices, which a lot of people are. I think I heard in a couple of years ago that it was $10,000 to be compliant. They're already compliant, but they don't want to pay for it because it's just the extra work that's involved in getting across the line. So
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it adds to the bureaucracy of running these businesses. Definitely.
yeah, sure.
The, so, your adopting your technology can definitely help with labor issues like we talked about. Um, you know, I think a lot of what we see in our industry, the wine industry is, it's a very traditional industry, and sometimes adopting technology can be scary, or, it feels like you're not as hands on. So, you definitely provide a huge service with, and it's the accuracy that you're talking about, is there. I mean, it's just, it's incredible. But, the roadblock sometimes can be pricing. So, it looks like on your website that your pricing model is very open. Can you talk a little bit about your pricing model and how approachable it is?
Yeah, sure. So for pricing, we charge per acre, just to make it simple. So we also have a entry level premium tool, and then depending on the depending on the things that you want for your vineyard, we have a starter, standard, and a plus package, and it's just a simple price. It's 25, 50, or $100 an acre, depending on if you want to go, you're doing really fancy stuff, or kind of the more straight down the line basic. And once you get to 1,000 acres, it becomes more efficient to do it. So we have kind of enterprise pricing, if you like, or sort of larger pricing to make it easy. Also, too, people can often say, "Hey, I just want to do one of those things," and we can accommodate that as well. Most important thing for us is to get it adopted and get it used by people. What you said in terms of, I think the biggest challenge historically has been people being comfortable with, like you said, giving some autonomy away to the system, or giving some reliance away. So what we do there to reduce that barrier is we can actually take we can go back, I think, 5, even 10 years in some case, and actually go back and predict how accurate our crop estimates would have been, or how accurate our the bricks visualizations, or the maturity dates. And we actually tell you how accurate they would have been, and people will see that and they say, "Oh wow!" They say, "Oh wow, that's great. We can now trust that data, and we're willing to give it a go, try it out for this growing season, or sign up to, for the next 3 to 5 years, because they've already, we can back prove that it works or not." And that's been very powerful for people. We call it a yield challenge, or maturity
I
challenge.
was going to ask you what the yield challenges were.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that sounds like a great test case and a great way to get your foot in the door for sure.
Yeah, and it also gives people comfort. This is people's business and livelihoods. This is not a game. This is real. This is real business, tools for people to manage their business. So and we want to make sure that it works, and we want them to have confidence in that as well. Because I think there's been a lot of promises, and I think people had good visions in what they're able to do, but maybe they got ahead of themselves in their claims, or have tried to think before. But it's definitely that's been very helpful for people to see that it works, and they can trust it and go from there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, that to be able to have that sort of, information to show someone before they even sign up. I mean, that's huge. That's really impactful.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Another simple one is scouting for irrigation leaks. So we can offer that as well. We can go and scout for irrigation leaks in a previous season or something like that, and people uh, pe- people can go and fix them even before the season starts, or uh, go and find those areas. In a lot of places, in Australia, even scouting for irrigation leaks is a 5 to 6 person task. And with bigger companies, they just
Sure.
send teams of people out literally checking for leaks because the water's so precious.
And you're using historical imaging from these same satellites for how long do they save those images? How far back can you go? Is it 6, 7 years? Are they saving that much data?
So it depends what we're doing. So each thing is a different signal of what's happening on the ground. So it will depend a little bit, but in general, six years or so for a lot of what we're doing. Some of it might be 3 years back, but it just depends. But for crop estimation for uh, bricks and maturity dates, that's kind of 6, 7 years back is what we're doing. Irrigation is probably 3 years or so.
A lot of information.
Yeah, yeah. It's really powerful because people um, remember the last 6, 7 years. In fact, there might be 10, 20 years worth of history, and so they going back and really seeing it work is powerful.
Yeah, for sure. So what's next for Deep Planet? Are you guys working on anything on top of what you're doing now? What's the next big thing for you?
Oh,
Is it just, or I mean, if the next big thing is growth and reaching more people, that makes sense too.
yeah. So two things. One is to really continue to build out our product set. So every month we're continually releasing new things. So the things that are out there commercially today, like bricks estimation, crop estimates, maturity dates, etc. That's been, you can get started in 10 minutes or an hour to get started. There's other things which are at the bleeding edge that we have kind of field trials or beta trials for customers that we're releasing as we go. So as an example, soil organic carbon, we can detect on it, every week what the soil organic carbon is using, so people can baseline line that for the vineyard. That's being released. Nutrients through satellites is being released this month. The nutrition app, like I mentioned, should be available in the US next month. So those are probably the key things. And over the next 18 months, we'll have a full, complete product that, for the wine industry. So by the end of next season, it'll be fully built out. But then we've launched in France, like I mentioned. We have an open office in Australia and an open office here in the US as well. So we're adding more and more people commercially this growing season, which is great.
Yeah. And so, I mean, how can people find you? How can people learn more? How do they reach you?
Sure. Well, they can give us a call, or they can uh, it, shoot us an email or go to the website. So I think you'll throw this up afterwards. But I'm based out in here.
AI, right?
Yeah, deepplanet.ai. They can give us a call, shoot us an email, David at deepplanet.ai. I'm based out of here in Alameda, kind of in between, the main regions, and when we have a couple of people on the ground as well who'll be out in the region. So when we're out there, we'll come and say hello.
Cool. That's great. Anything else to add on your side?
No, I mean, if you're interested in getting involved this season, we'd love, jump onto one of the yield challenge or maturity challenge. We can show you the power of how it works and make sure that it's relevant for you, and you can kind of get started, and it's a good way to get started, get confidence in the system, and get value out of it immediately, and then show it over the course of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Well, David, I think that's about all I've got for you. I really appreciate your time today, and looking forward to seeing how Innovate and Deep Planet can possibly work together, and how we can help the wine industry evolve in technology.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Don. Thanks for the invite, and look forward to chatting more.
All right, sounds good.
Cheers, mate.
See you.